Sometimes we forget why we're here. It's easy to fall off track. These help us remember.
These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Growing up, I had a dream, something no one else could see. Tell me what it means when your faith is falling beneath your knees and you can't breathe. Everything you see reminds you of what you're not or something you won't be. You gotta take what you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians or choose to be an accountant because it's safe in a business. Not because they wanna do it, just because they heard it pays. And who the fuck wants to be poor knowing that's how we've been raised? Society is getting heavy, I can feel the weight. The pressure of success is like 100 million pounds of shame. And that's the reason I'm staying up late, trying to find a way to escape the stereotypes this day and age is making me feel like the only way I'll be happy is getting signed to a label and making money through rapping. I wanna share my emotion because this world is attacking the very principle of life that lets the people be happy. If you don't have a reason to breathe, why even live? These battle scars are impressions of everything that it is.
Scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Now, if I had a voice that reached 100 million people, I'd tell them there's a reason that we're all created equal. Cause some decide to be great and some decide a sequel to an average person's life is simply what they want to be. So you make your decision, all I know is what I'm given. Won't define the life I lead or the way I dwell in existence. I've seen a greater image on the walls of where I'm living, and the words twisted and scripted remind me of something written. Faith is a gift that is given down to the people. If one believes it, one receives it. It's given if it is needed. Don't ever think you're trapped in a life that you never wanted. Your options are infinite, that's some mathematical logic. I'm not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers and these battle scars on my church. Not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers, these battle scars on my church.
Scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Well, hello everyone. How are you? And yes, I am still wearing my Delaware shirt. And I'll be putting up chat comments soon. I know that was a request, but we have to get past the intro. Okay, we have to get past the intro. But I got this from Delaware. Crap, am I about to lose a fring? I am. Ovens, I need your nail glue. So I love it. And yeah, so I decided to wear it again for another day. Don't judge me, bro. And yeah, I did just lose a nail. Wonderful. Okay. Oh, see? But it's the right finger. Boy, so much has been going on. Here's what's sad. I've been meaning to do that really entertaining heist hate porn from Nick Sarwark, but the LNC has been worse. And it's hard to be worse than that like really bad fanfic that we all got in the mail, or at least a lot of us got in the mail. Nick, stick to your day job. But no, they've outdone themselves. And as I said, they were right. There were plenty of things they couldn't do without me there. All the shitty things they've been doing, they're right. They couldn't have done those. At least not without a lot of backlash. Tomorrow, I have a platform committee in the evening, but probably tomorrow morning we're gonna go over that whole clown car of a budget meltdown that they're having. It's one of the most amusing, just like slow motion train wrecks that I've ever witnessed on the LNC list. I'm just like, oof, like, oh, and then ding my email, and I'm like, oh, ouch. Oh boy, it's bad. It's bad. But let's hear from the fishy man.
Objection, speculative.
I am so glad to be back. Today, I don't know how long of a show this is going to be because apparently Wayne and I are going to go out to dinner tonight. We're going to have a mini date night, I guess, after today. So maybe. Anyway, I was on a Facebook ban. Go check out my totally sincere and absolutely serious apology video I did on this channel. I uploaded it yesterday. Now, where'd I put that fingernail that I lost? Because I want to glue it back on. And I lost it. Okay. So let's do the grifting. And remember, these shows are always participatory, that I do want to see your comments. And I'll be putting those again up on the screen. Oh, here it is. In a moment. I'm all over the place. Boy, did I have the travel blahs for Monday and Tuesday. That's why there was no show. But I'm back to my same old sparky self. So first let's pay the bills. Patreon.com / Pink Flame of Liberty. You know, there's always a state of flux when it comes to patrons, and I haven't seemed to been able to break like a certain amount. It gets there and then it goes under. And that's fine. You know, this is a very niche. I swear that fingernail keeps moving and now it's concerning me. Didn't I just say I had it and now it's gone again? It reminds me of like it ended up over here. It's like a spider that's moving around. It's right here. Y'all if it moves again, I'm running out of this basement. Where was I? Oh, Pink Flame of Liberty, Patreon. If you can financially support the show, I would truly, truly appreciate it. It is niche. I get it. So, but I do appreciate all of my supporters, and I do understand that financial times change. You can't be expected, you do something forever. So I do understand that people come and people go, and it's not anything to do with me. It's the outside world, and yeah, things are going to get tougher for YouTubers because this is a luxury. I get it. But if you happen to like this kind of content that you're not really getting anywhere else, and you're learning a whole lot about the Libertarian Party, some of it that you may not want to know, and some of it that I hope is useful to you, and hopefully will be less, I didn't want to know that after Reno. And so please, patreon.com / Pink Flame of Liberty. Also, there's still time to get, you got to go watch my apology video. I'm sorry, I'm talking off screen to a chat that said, what about that alien spider thing? You need to look at my apology video, which is the upload I did yesterday, with today being the 13th. Alrighty, there's still time to get your decent logo t-shirt. Let's put this up if we can. This logo on a t-shirt and it comes in dark or light. So if you'd prefer it, the opposite, rather than being on a white background, on a black ground, we got that. tinyurl.com / Pink Flame merch. Those have actually been selling really well. I want to see a shit I meant to spell the first part. I almost said shit ton as if ton was the bad word. Definitely not going to get monetized on this video. So super chats matter. What kind of filthy mind spells out ton but says shit? I'm warped. I'm definitely warped. But get this. I hate the way everything's opposite. So it's this. I'm like Vanna White. This way. That one. Get it on a t-shirt. tinyurl.com / Pink Flame merch. All profits are split equally with the designer of this much better, in fact, I think pretty awesome, but much better logo rather than that insulting abomination that the convention committee has foisted on us. And I'm spending more time talking about this than I normally would. We're going to go back to it because it is part of the convention committee recap that I am doing tonight. So next up, here we go. Asteros. I don't like the way you can't hardly see that. I don't want to put it over. I think I'm going to redo your logo a little bit Baby in hot pink. I hope you wouldn't mind that, Zach. It's so hard to see on my background. I don't like how, we're going to, maybe right there. You know, I want you guys to be able to see this. But anyway, Asteros.com. So I was watching Dan Schmott's show today, which you should be subscribed to if you haven't. And he has this really badass pre-recorded ad for Asteros. And now I feel like I'm like the Wish version, the Wish.com version. But you get the live read from me, baby. So Asteros.com. Let's see. I need to put on some sexy music when I do this because now I'm totally out to outdo Dan. They do deep penetration testing. Actually, what they do is they will take a look at your business or your organization and see where you have cybersecurity flaws, which if you don't think you have them, if you're the type of person who doesn't think you have them, you're the one who has them. Like, I know damn well that a determined hacker could get into all my shit. I already know that. Like, I know that. So if you're one who is like, nah, we're good. No, you're not good, baby. You're not good. So go to Asteros, and it's ASTEROS.com/free, and they will show you exactly how vulnerable you are. That's a free surface audit that will show you very obvious vulnerabilities in your cyber security. So please do take advantage of that if you have an organization or business. And when you do that, you know, Zach knows that his sponsorships of both mine and Dan's shows, and I am so appreciative that he is supporting another Libertarian show, it shows it's worthwhile. So there you go, up on the screen, and I think that's all of the shameless grifting that I'm going to be doing today, though I will constantly be totally grifting and begging for super chats because it annoys, and that nail is still there, so we're safe. Because it annoys all the right people. And all proceeds go... I'm trying to I get so opposite. Here we go. All proceeds do go to support my campaign. I am trying to get literature and things for Reno. And I do have 2 more conventions I'm going to. I am going to, and I'm going to put the chat up because everyone wants that. It takes a while to refresh. It won't show the comments that are already up there. I am so sorry. I need to find a better chat. You guys were going to find that for me, a better chat widget this is Restream is what I use. So a better chat widget that hooks into Restream, because I hate this one. I hate the blue. I hate everything about it. Kill it with fire. That's all I have to say is kill it with fire. I can't say that because that will get you banned from Facebook. Even though Facebook in their GIFs, we're not getting into whether it's GIF or GIF is GIF. They have kill it with fire GIFs, but apparently I'm not allowed to say that or I get banned. Anyway, on the brighter side, what the crap was I talking about? I don't even remember. So we're just going to continue talking about the convention con job. I am so looking forward to the day when I do not have to be talking about LNC crap. And this now actually seems like a minor controversy compared to the budget. Wow, the sneaky trick they tried to pull. Oh, I was talking about Kansas. Thank you, Ned. I am going to Kansas. Toto, I don't think we're in Kansas anymore. I'm going to Kansas for their convention. And after that, I am going to Wisconsin. And I think that's it. I know there is a convention, believe it or not, in May. I can't remember which one it is. I don't have my spreadsheet in front of me. Not going, probably, because I'm raising money for Reno gear. The kind Libertarians in Kansas fundraised for me to go there. Anybody who is a donor or has given a super chat, you can see my campaign accountability spreadsheet so you can see how I've spent my money. I am completely transparent on that. Unlike a certain LNC, who it turns out has been naughty little children who've been having secret discussions about how they're going to spend our money and leaving some LNC members out of those discussions. But we're not going to talk about that today. Scandal, girls. Scandal.
Objection, speculative.
Yeah, screw you, fishy man. Okay. So let's talk about the recap on the convention con job. Now, hopefully, I have found out that drawing attention to these things actually does work, or at least gains us a little bit of a, kill it with fire. Yes, let's celebrate One-Eyed Heathen's new job. Congratulations. I'm pretty much determined that I'm probably not going to have a new job till after Reno, because employers really don't like when you tell them, yeah, thanks for hiring me. I need a week off at the end of May. But I am, though. If the ideal job comes up, I'm applying, because, you know, if it's a perfect match, employers will work with you. Anyway, there will be, I'm positive, more of these convention con job videos. But I have found that our public shaming of their secret bullshit works. It does work. Because they did pull back a little bit. But really all that happened is they went in secret. Let's talk about secrecy here for a minute, shall we? The Convention Oversight Committee does do some things that need to be kept confidential. Contract negotiations, also things like printing of certain ballots and the platform deletion tokens. That sort of thing needs to be kept confidential so that it's not counterfeited, so there isn't funny business going on, though I think the people we need to worry about doing the funny business are the ones that are allegedly protecting us, but whatever. There are some things that legitimately need to be done in secret session. I call it secret session rather than executive session. People who don't like it can bite me, to remind you what you're doing. It's not because I think it's always illegitimate. It's I think if we call it secret rather than the euphemistic executive, it reminds us of what we are doing and to keep it very limited. And I thank Starchild for that. He's the one who taught me to say secret session. Hello, JJ. I hope you are well. I know you're scowling at me right now. I just know it. I can feel it all the way from Philadelphia. So there are things that belong in secret session on the Convention Oversight Committee. But I've been on the Convention Oversight Committee, and there's plenty that doesn't need to be secret. And they're probably in the midst of meeting right now as we speak. Or their meeting may be over. But unless they change their mind, you want to know what they're doing in secret tonight? Or did? Unless, again, my advanced shaming of them worked. And my source on this is impeccable. It's not third-hand rumor. They were meeting in secret tonight, that despite TJ's walking back on the LNC list of using a voting system which goes against our bylaws and rules, though he claimed it didn't, it does. And it concerns me how insistent he was that it doesn't. And let me get this right off the front. I'm going to say a lot of things here that are very saboteur-minded. I want to get this right up front. I don't think TJ has any nefarious intentions. I know he doesn't feel likewise, but I love TJ. He's a big teddy bear. I don't think what's going on here is right, and I think he has a huge conflict of interest that for some reason he's not seeing, but nothing here at all is meant to impugn TJ's character. I think the guy just, sometimes you're such a big brain, and he is a big brain. His brain is much bigger than mine, and I like big brains, and I cannot lie. Sometimes you're such a big brain that you don't see how things appear to those who are looking in on the outside, and I think that's what's going on. But what they're doing tonight is they are meeting in secret to force that hobby horse voting program that's completely unvetted in the wider software community. We're going to go over, if I can find it quickly, Mike Seebeck's analysis of this. And if Mike is around, maybe I'll just bring him on to talk about his analysis of this. But probably not. There was wildfires in his area. His house is safe. But yesterday it looked a little weird. Yes, Tyler, if you got it. I think that's the end game. We're going to get there, but you're ahead of me, Tyler. So they're meeting in secret to decide, like they don't have enough controversy at this convention, that they are going to advance tell the delegates ahead of time that this is the system we're going to use, and if you don't want to use it, you need to vote it down. You see, that's not the way shit works. You also don't, less than 6 weeks before convention, change your voting system for no reason. This is a problem looking for a solution. There is no reason we can't continue as we always have. These people forget that we are a bottom-up organization. And if we are going to change our voting system, which I think we do need to change, by the way, I'm a fan of electronic voting. Let's get that right out front. So I'm not a Luddite. I'm not a Luddite that is like, nah, we gotta have a paper. No, that's not it. That's what our rules and bylaws have now. You don't plan behind the scenes to shove a particular voting system on us without a groundswell activist call for it. You don't do it 6 weeks before convention, and you don't give a privileged status to a voting system designed by an LNC member that will be choosing LNC members. If you don't see the huge conflict of interest here, you have no business being on a board of the third largest political party in this country. Oh, but she has a YouTube channel. That's such a conflict of interest. But an LNC member designing the voting system in which theoretically he can see how everyone votes and changes the votes. And in fact, causes votes to be invalidated in California because of bullshit. Yeah, no conflict of interest there. None at all, Senator Epke, right? No, none. You guys are so transparent. It's not even funny. This is the most conflicty of interesties that is possible. Don't you think there are a lot of programmers in this party that would love to have that privileged status, to use their position of privilege to push their voting system or some software they wrote on us? I realize it's open source, but to create a good open source system, to use us as a guinea pig, can launch a very lucrative software career afterwards. I am not saying that is his intention. It could happen inadvertently. But to use your position of privilege on the LNC to do this is completely and utterly inappropriate. And I don't blame you, because none of the other LNC members are calling this to account. This stinks to high heaven and the lowest pit of hell. How you guys cannot see how this looks. Now, what concerns me, because it used to be in the past, whenever we talked about electronic voting, and we're going to go over your opinion, JJ, as well, that John Phillips so kindly shat all over, because he's just determined to be the king twat waffle of the LNC. In the past, whenever we've discussed this, and even in the last LNC discussion, it was said this would require a bylaws and rules change. But for some reason, and this is what makes me feel real hanky, the designer of the program, because I don't want to use names of people that I don't think are nefarious. I'll use the hell out of names out of people I think are nefarious. Keeps insisting it doesn't require a rule change. And it makes me wonder. I think this person is being used as a useful idiot to the Sarwarks of the world. Because, as Tyler so astutely noted, let's just pretend we don't change the rules or the bylaws, and the voting system gets used, and there is a result that a certain cabal doesn't like. Yes, it's all null and void. And do I think that's their ultimate end game? One of them, yes. I also think votes can be changed in it, and we have no way of knowing. There is so much wrong here. You know, what's that expression? It's so wrong it ain't even right. And if the Democrats were doing this, we would be laughing our asses off at the absolute transparent manipulation by the parent governing body. So why isn't this an open meeting? Why isn't this an open meeting of the Convention Oversight Committee? Now, if this vote doesn't come out, I'll be like, you want to know what? They didn't vote on it tonight. But last I heard, they were. And as I said before, my source is impeccable. And maybe they changed their mind, and I hope they do. I hope they do. I want to be proven wrong. Because the last thing we need here, it's like the episode I did on credentialing. I don't want the Convention Oversight Committee to fuck up things. I want them to succeed. Why? Because if they succeed, we succeed. I want a successful convention. I'm not looking to drag them and to laugh at failures. I am not. I want to get through this convention, and in order to get through this convention, it means the committees of the convention need to be successful. So I want the Credentials Committee to succeed. I want the Convention Oversight Committee to succeed. And the new chair of the Convention Oversight Committee is Jim Turney. I think he's a man of impeccable character. He's a man I am friends with. It's not like there's dislike here. There are people on the Convention Oversight Committee, including somebody who, quote unquote, jokingly said he was going to firebomb last convention. Okay, you really think somebody who is making jokes like that belongs on the Convention Oversight Committee? I don't, but that's just me. But I have a YouTube channel, so therefore I can't be trusted because conflict of interest. But it's okay to have the voting system designed by somebody who's on the LNC to count the LNC votes. And yeah, it's perfectly fine to have someone on the Convention Oversight Committee that last time joked about firebombing the convention if they didn't like the results. Yeah. Nothing wrong here at all. Nothing hanky. All perfectly normal. We're all, what's that thing from Star Wars? We're all fine down here. Thanks. How are you? That conversation was boring. Oh my word. I couldn't make this crap up. And there's someone else on the convention committee who I just adore like to pieces. So this isn't about like or dislike. Please do the right thing and just put on a good convention and stop trying to shove a porcupine down our throats. And yes, I keep saying it that way, so it sounds very painful because it is very painful. So let's go into, if I can find, of course I'm not prepared. This isn't I never pretended to be a professional. Let me find, because I don't prepare anything ahead of time. I'm trying to find Mike Seebeck's, because I'm such a loser, baby, why don't you kill me? I'm trying to find Mike Seebeck's letter on the Transparency Caucus letter. Mike, where are you? Did you put it? I know it's on Elpedia. So we'll pull it up on Elpedia. Because I've got like 10,000 emails in my email box right now. So y'all just talk amongst yourselves while your completely frazzled, disorganized host is finding what she wants to talk about. Oh. By the way, man, I'm staying off of social media for a while. Honestly, I've been really down. What's going on, and I'm not going to mention names, with a certain high-profile activist where we're seeing like a real-time meltdown. Person was a friend of mine. It really hurts my heart. And Scantrons do not violate the bylaws. And Scantrons is what we should be doing, by the way, Tyler. So I've just been really down about the whole thing. Seeing an icon of the movement just firebomb everything in his path. YouTube, I'm using that term. This is so not going to be monetized. Just blow up all of... God, that's probably going to... Just... I'm trying to come up with neutral words or destroy all of these past relationships. Okay, I'm going to pull up this letter here if I can. Share screen. Is that working? Yes. But I think, well, you know, I'm leaving the chat up and me up. You guys, if you want to see this letter yourself, I'm going to be reading out loud. Go to Lpedia and go to, up at the top here, the Libertarian Transparency Caucus, and you can read it yourself. So, Libertarian Transparency Caucus objects to electronic voting at Reno. This is going to get super, super geek, okay? But this is why porcupine cannot be used. My eyes are going to glaze over reading this. I do not understand or speak geek, so I may mess some of this up. Sorry, Mike, but I'll do the best I can. So here's the letter. And the dark of the night, last night, circa 1 a.m. Mountain Time, the Libertarian Party Convention Oversight Committee announced that it intends to make electronic voting available to the convention delegates at the 2022 Libertarian National Convention in Reno over Memorial Day weekend. Now, facts came out after this where the COC said it didn't announce it, that the LNC member that put that on the list was acting rogue. I no longer believe that's true. The LNC member might have been acting a little rogue, but come on, he didn't pull this out of his rear. He got this from somewhere. Come on. Come on. Come on. The Libertarian, thank you, Charles, for the super chat. So, the Libertarian Transparency Caucus objects to this late blindside for a myriad of reasons, both I thought it said ideological. That's me. I'm like the ideology whisperer, not the geek whisperer. Okay, both technological and ethical. Michael Seebeck, co-founder of the Libertarian Party Transparency Caucus, and probably my best friend in the world, is a 22-year member of the party, during which he has served in multiple positions within multiple state parties and county affiliates, was the chief teller for the 2020 Libertarian National Convention, and was also the Libertarian Party of California National Convention delegate whip in 2010. He is also a 25-year senior software and systems engineer in the aerospace industry, a Security Plus certified software security expert, and has a long resume of software development that has, among other things, helped to put GPS satellites in orbit and a rover on Mars. He is uniquely qualified to comment upon this situation because of the convergence of his professional and party resumes. And I never knew Mike was such a frickin' big brain, but here's what's funny. He has helped put satellites in orbit, but I show him my video editing software for the cult of RONR, and he's like, oh, no, I'm glad. Wow, what skills you have. So it's funny what some people find easy, like Photoshop and video editing and all of this kind of technology, no problem. But Mike, won't touch with a 10-foot pole. Meanwhile, look what a big brain he has. You could easily do the video editing. Maybe you're just saying that so I don't put all that work on you, in which case you are even smarter than I thought you were, Mike. Seebeck says, the idea of electronic voting at a national convention or at any convention is, in concept, a good idea. And I agree. However, the current implementation, just like it was attempted in 2010 before that convention in St. Louis, is very suspect and fraught with problems. It should be noted that this software was attempted to be used at the 2020 convention, and the effort was abandoned during the convention both because bugs and performance issues were discovered while in use, and the nature of the hybrid convention made it untenable at that time. So some commentary here. People are talking about using now hybrid voting, meaning use porcupine if you want. That's going to be vote that shit down too, because they're going to tell you, oh, use paper if you want and porcupine if you want, and we're going to combine the two. Yeah, that sounds like there's not going to be any problems. No, everyone needs to be on the same voting system. And when you do use electronic voting, you don't have it on all these different devices. You pass out an electronic voting device. that's locked down tight. And it's the same device for everybody. Because God bless you, Star Child, but he's going to be walking into convention with a sundial and wanting to know how to use porcupine on that. It should be noted that this software... Okay, no, we already did that. 2 years have passed since then, and here we go again. What has happened in those 2 years to the software? Is my Wi-Fi bad? Am I breaking up on anybody? Let me know. Because I'm not on Wi-Fi. I'm hardwired. I just made sure I was hardwired. But Comcast, when everyone comes home and... Yeah. I don't think everyone realizes that he is proposing everyone using different devices. Yeah. That's going to work. And I'm sorry if, Tyler, please, somebody else let me know if my Wi-Fi is, or my internet is... If the interwebs is hiccuping for you. Because I'm looking at my feed and my little monitor here, and I don't look like I'm glitching. So what has happened in these 2 years to the software? We don't know. Has it been through a proper development, iteration, and release cycle? Either agile or waterfall. Where is the design documentation? Use cases, bug reports, requirements documents, security reports, and a user manual. Where is the source code? Has it been properly designed and implemented using industry best software practices? What language is it in? Hey, Mike, we've been talking about you, and I've been complimenting the fuck out of you. What SDK platform was it developed on? Has it been scanned for issues using an accredited this-party software such as, oh God, big brain words, Coverty, is that right? Coverty or Fortify for resolution of security issues and bad coding practices? Is it secure software? And has it been properly tested for that security, including penetration testing? And here's where I can mention my sponsor, asteros.com/free. Get your free surface audit penetration testing for your organization or business. I like how I was able to segue that. Zach, come on. You got to admit that was good. All right. Okay. Including penetration testing. Hold on. And
Objection, speculative.
And DDoS attacks, among many others, such as XSS, MIM, and worst case, insider threats. Actually, insider threats should have been top of the list, Mike, but you were being charitable. Has it been unit tested and regression tested? Or are we, the convention, the guinea pigs yet again? Where is the test documentation and test cases? How will delegates and alternates be validated as users versus an intruder, hacker, or impersonator? Does it use two-factor authentication, three-factor, biometrics? What happens if it fails? What's the backup, MTTR, or recovery plan? Has the software been independently audited and certified for use by anyone? Those are the basic technological questions. But there are also questions that need to be answered that are specific to the party. Do the votes have a retained record of who voted for whom? How secure is that record? How is it backed up and how frequently? Who can access it? How does that come into play with an audit? Can it be configured for the various forms of voting that the party uses? Can it handle the scenario of dropping the lowest vote getter and those not getting 5%, which isn't relevant for this convention, but he's just noting that. Can it handle the scenario of voting for up to X candidates, but they must get a majority vote, Judicial Committee, LNC at large? Can it handle a change in voting caused by a rules change by the delegates to ranked choice voting or approval voting or something else? Can it tally those correctly? Can it properly delineate between a vote for people and NOTA? Can it handle write-ins? Can it disqualify bad ballots? Convention Rule 8-2-A. And then there's certain Roberts rules on bad ballots as well. Can it handle dropping candidates between ballots in real time? Can it handle the substitution of delegates and alternates by the state delegations? Can it track the credential numbers and quorum numbers to make sure a vote is valid in the first place? Does it do that by the whole convention, by state? or how? How does a delegate sign their ballot as the bylaws require? How will the technology be delivered to delegates or alternates that are credentialed and seated by floor votes so all those eligible can vote? Conversely, how will the technology be removed from persons that are removed as delegates either by floor vote or by other means such as expulsion from the convention so that all those ineligible cannot vote? If a delegate or alternate does not have a cell phone or tablet or is unable to access a web or app version from a PC or Mac on the floor due to power constraints of the convention floor, an ongoing unaddressed problem, reception problems, or an overloaded convention center wireless network, how are those external logistic issues addressed? How is it even slightly acceptable to allow remote voting from other than the convention floor? Because that's what excuse me, because I don't want to be calling out TJ, because I don't think he's a bad faith actor. How does the LNC designer of this program, he's the one who is advocating for remote voting. This is discussed in their proposal, but the methodology is inadequate and subject to manipulation and increased time as it adds an unnecessary layer of tabulation. In the case of a hybrid convention like what occurred in 2020, it would be impossible to implement. And on top of all of that, how does any of this match up to Convention Rule 10, which requires a paper trail from each state delegation to the tellers? Does this eliminate the tellers and the necessary manual verification of the votes in favor of a technology that is black boxed from the delegates and the alternates? There's too many unknowns and unexplained in play here. But wait! There's more! There's another YouTuber, if you all watch critiques of America's Next Top Model, which I don't anticipate many of my audience does, but in case you do, there is a great YouTuber, and she always does there's a scandal, girls. I'm going to sound clip her, but there's a scandal, girls. There's more. A proper rollout of this technology would have involved over a year of barnstorming of explanations and demonstrations, software shakedowns and adjustments, and training at each state convention at a minimum, so that party members and potential delegates and alternates could see this in action and work with it, beta testing, really in a non-binding manner, so we could have confidence in it going into a national convention instead of being blindsided at the last moment. This would also allow the development team, whoever they are, we delegates and alternates don't know who they are either, to sort out any bugs and fine-tune the software before it would be rolled out to prime time. This has not happened. And by the way, Libertarian Against Lynching, I am going to have a show on the LP Texas Convention. It's not what you were asking about the delegate selection. There was some really interesting, and this isn't going to be critical of the convention or anything like that. This is going to be sheerly parliamentary, like geek stuff. Like some really interesting things happened at that convention that I learned new things as a brand spanking new I'm a parliamentarian, according to Tara DeSisto. So as a brand new parliamentarian, I learned some things. I got some things, I'm not going to say wrong, but my initial instincts on some things were wrong. And I love learning, so I would love for you all to learn with me. So we're going to be doing a show on some very unusual things in the Texas bylaws and some things that happened on the floor. Oh, the Sarwarks are delegates now in Ohio? Interesting. Ohio must allow out-of-state delegates. Do they? Subversive with Justin O'Donnell? Look at their bylaws. Because if their bylaws don't allow it, they can be challenged from the convention floor. And while I have no intention of challenging any delegation, I would challenge them as specific delegates. Yes, Mama would. So Ohio's not going to do something as silly as listing somebody as a delegate who doesn't qualify. So their bylaws must allow it. So we'll have to look at that. I didn't think Ohio allowed out-of-state delegates, though. And there weren't people who lived in Ohio that wanted to be delegates. That seems kind of shitty to the people in Ohio, but I don't live there. It's not my business. If their bylaws allow it, it's their business, not mine. But I'm interested now. So, Mike, I'm like dying to know. Mike, if you're still here, go look up. Mike, go look up Ohio's bylaws or constitution or whatever they have. I am so curious because that was not one of the states I thought allowed out-of-state delegates. So if you could do that in the background, because like my ADHD now is firing off where I want to just abandon this letter. Okay, O'Donnell's looking it up. Thank you, because you can see I'm like, whew, rabbit trail. All right, let's continue. Note, this objection was also raised when this was tried in 2010, but then it was computerized voting booths instead of web pages or apps, which would have slowed any convention to a reverse crawl. Mr. Lonnie Holcomb, I know Lonnie, Idaho, hello Lonnie, and myself asked for all the information noted above. The LNC at that time told us delegates, trust us. We said, no, show us the paper trail. It was never tested, let alone implemented. And that was over a decade ago. Excuse me, I drank that Mountain Dew too fast. Yet here we are again in the same situation. Actually, in a worse situation with a thoroughly untrustworthy LNC. And thoroughly disliked LNC. Plus, but let me give a shout out to Dustin Nanaconda. Man, I don't always agree with the man, but he's solid as a effing rock. Nanaconda for the win. Plus, there is one more fundamental problem, and that is one of ethics and poor optics. Oh, Mike, are you saying this LNC might be a little unethical and tone deaf about optics? You don't say. The software has been primarily developed by a current LNC member. LNC members at the start of the convention. Okay, they can't be seated now then. They cannot be seated now. If that Mo is correct, you guys will need to let me know. And Subversive says LP Ohio doesn't elect delegates; they are statutory, and they give preference to LNC officers. Well, Dustin's from Ohio, so that's fine. Thank you for the super chat, Julian. But it seemed to me from the bylaw quoted, the Sarwarks would have to be seated at convention and can't be on a delegate list now. So I'll have to take a look at that. Or maybe JJ can take a look at that. Does that include past LNC officers? So Valerie then, as an LNC person, would get priority because she's at large. But Nick's, unless it deals with past, like if there's a honorary, because he was a past chair. Again, if their bylaws allow it, that's their business. And if it's statutory, that really sucks because Arizona's under that with like the state dictating how they have to run their own party. But as I said, Ohio's business is not my business. And again, Dustin Nana is, I think he's vice chair of Ohio, and he wouldn't pull anything shady. As I said, Dustin Nana, he's like somebody I'd call to help bury the bodies. Like, that's how much I trust that guy. Okay, so it seems like only at convention, but LNC members get priority or something like that. Okay. Well, Mike, I would go talk to Ohio. Let's see if we could get you seated in Ohio. All right, so let's continue here. Plus, this software has been primarily developed by a current LNC member. LNC members would be elected by this software. Whether the developer is a member of any caucus is irrelevant and beside the point, which is that the developer of the voting software is a person in a group who has a direct interest in how that group's members are elected by that software. That, on its very surface, prima facie, can easily lead to accusations of impropriety, whether they are unfounded or not. It doesn't matter, and that's unacceptable. It's poor optics to have an LNC member introduce opaque black box software that elects LNC members. God, I hate displaying accordion style. God, I hate that. So does Minnesota. It was so hard to help them with those really fast, when I got that panicked phone call with those accordion style bylaws. The bottom line is that this is a repeat of the problems of 2010 and should be rejected for the reasons now as they were then, because little has changed except the players and some of the technology. The implementation methodology and problems are the same. The proper way to do it is to have the development be completely separate from the LNC. Have all of its development and documentation open to inspection and audit by qualified party members, and then engage the membership in a proper rollout and shakedown demonstration tour in all 50 states and DC to familiarize and train them on its use. After that level of transparency and scrutiny and training has been met and approved, then maybe it should be put into play. But until then, it cannot just assumed to be ready to go and thrust upon the delegates without good warning or notice. That is not fair to either the delegates or the developers, nor is it proper software development, especially for something as important and crucial as voting software. The Libertarian Transparency Caucus strongly encourages all National Convention delegates to reject this proposal for the 2022 National Convention and for the developers to do this properly and openly instead for perhaps 2024 or 2026. I'm just taking a look at the chat here. And Subversive says that they can list out-of-state members, and at convention, an out-of-state member can be set to a vacancy regardless of hierarchy. Well, you might want to take a look at that, Mike, for yourself as well. Okay, let's, next thing we want to go to, let me, though, pull back up my screen here. One sec. I want to go back to me, full screen, in all of my glory. Next, we're going to go to the parliamentary opinion. JJ, you're on deck now. That, John Phillips hand waved away because he doesn't care what certain party members think. Isn't that rich? If any of you people, I hate that word because I don't mean it like in the you people. If any of you guys out here live in Region 6, but are Mises Caucus members, John Phillips has publicly said he doesn't give a shit what your opinion is. Nice representation there, dude. And I want to just back up a bit here on the whole caucus thing. I am obviously a member of the Mises Caucus. I'm not in leadership of it. As Mike, can back me up on this. I don't know what internal decisions are made. I know some of them that involve me, but I'm not in on their leadership meetings. I'm not a member of leadership. I am just a rank and file member that happens to be a bit more prominent because of my past experience on the LNC and the fact that I have a YouTube channel. I have no authority or position with the Mises Caucus. I am merely a member. And I have plenty of friends who dislike the Mises Caucus. I do not break friendship with people over a caucus. I just ask that you don't shit all over them on my social media. And I don't think that's too big of an ask. You have your own social media. Now, where I do draw the line is if you're going around constantly slandering my friends with lies, yeah, I am going to break ties with you there. But if you just happen to not like some tactics, or you don't like some people in the caucus, like if you're directing certain criticisms with proof at certain people, hey, every caucus has people you might not like or bad actors. There were bad actors in the Radical Caucus when I was a member of the well, I still am now, but back when I was originally a member. Crap, Jeff Wood was a member of the Radical Caucus, and we all know that he's a bad actor. So there's bad actors in the Mises Caucus. There's bad actors in the Radical Caucus. I'm sure there's bad actors in the Waffle House Caucus who are secret infiltrators from the IHOP Caucus. But if you're just going to blanket slander people, yeah, I'm going to break ties with you. But if you just happen to not like caucuses or not like that caucus or whatever, I don't care. I'm not into this tribalism. And this whole thing is getting me really, really, really down. And can we stop it already? I know. Go figure. Go figure. Anyway, I had to do that aside because some of the crap I've been seeing from people that I've respected just hurts my heart. The broad brushing. I wouldn't do that to you, dudes. I wouldn't do that to you. Even when I didn't particularly like most of the tactics of the Audacious Caucus, I never broad brushed everyone who ever belonged to that caucus. There was some great people in that caucus, and there were some real shitheels. I was very specific on who the shitheels were and why I called them that. Can we stop this collectivism? Because I kind of thought libertarians were against that. Silly me. Hell, not everybody who's in the Socialist Caucus. Like, I don't even broad brush them. And I can't stand socialism. There were good friends of mine in the Socialist Caucus. We just happened to disagree. What a concept. Okay, now I've got to pull up JJ's opinion letter. And JJ, I've got way too many emails. I don't know if I can find it easily. I might ask you to resend it to me. Would you be mad if I asked you to resend it to me while I'm on the air here? Because I got to now search for it in my email. There is a Socialist Caucus in the LP. I don't know if they're still active. I assume they are. Okay. JJ, help me. I don't know if I can find your opinion here. Well, crap. When did you send this? Yeah, the Audacious Caucus is real, and I don't know if they're incredibly active right now either. Well, crap. I don't know if I can find your letter. JJ! Help me. We might have to do the parliamentary opinion later. So I'm just scrolling here to see if I still have it in my inbox. Well, crap. Oh, you sent it to my... Thank you. God bless you. Okay. Thank you. All right, we're going to... let me download this, and I will pull this up so you guys could see what the parliamentary problems are. And we're not going to even deal... countenance John Phillips' completely disrespectful response to someone sending over a professional opinion. Like, he is just so low class right now. It's just not even freaking funny. Let me see if I can bring this up on the screen. We'll find some way to look at it. Probably have to cover me. Yeah, so I've got this on the screen. Let's turn off, if we can. Yeah, that's better. Okay, and now I just need to pull it up to where I can read it. It's up on the screen for you guys, but my old eyes, I mean, I do have old eyes, but I also need to go back to the eye doctor because obviously all of my prescriptions have changed because I can't see shit anymore. So I'm going to be like, let me see if I'm going to have to be going right up to my screen here to read this. All right. Parliamentary opinion from JJ. Yay, JJ. On April 1st, we're probably not going to read the whole thing. There's the intro, identifies who the client is, and Mr. Heiss asked the parliamentarian to review the proposal to determine if it would violate any applicable rules and if it would create procedural problems. So, works cited, it says the Libertarian Party as a singular document, including the bylaws and convention standing rules, among other things. These will be called the article or rule as appropriate. The parliamentary authority is Robert's 12th edition. And the proposal made by Mr. Friera shall be cited as email. Okay, so here's the commentary. Yeah, they might remove me. I told you the saddest thing. Oh, and I'm going to close before we go. Let me write this. I put a pad here because I'm old and don't remember shit. That I want to tell you guys something about the Massachusetts appeal before we finish this out. All right. The parliamentarian is aware that Mr. Fiera's proposal has created controversy. This opinion is not an attempt to address those. And I really loved how JJ did that because he's an outsider. He's not here to get involved in the factional crap. It is limited to determining if this proposition violates the bylaws and rules as they now stand. In other words, it answers the question of whether it would be in order to use the method described in the email. As correctly noted in the email, RONR states it is a fundamental principle of parliamentary law that the right to vote is limited to the members of an organization who are actually present at the time the vote is taken in a regular or properly called meeting. Although it should be noted that a member need not be present when the question is put. Exceptions to this rule must be expressly stated in the bylaws. All right. What the email proposes violates this principle without express bylaw authorization. Okay, what's up on the screen is just the first page. Oh, I see. Oh, my screen's getting all weird. 1 second here. I could see it's like showing things in the back. Let me just do it from my other screen here because we need to go to page 2. Anyone wants a copy of this, I could send it to you. It was public on the list because I know you're not able to read it. It's like getting a little obscured here by the chat box, but I think it's more important to keep the chat up. The email states, as currently planned, if a delegate has physically checked in with the credentials desk, then their ability to vote will be enabled, unless the delegation chair or they themselves pauses that ability. The delegate will be able to vote from wherever they reside. What weird terminology. When a question is put. Any method... Okay, and that's the end of the quote. This is now JJ. Any method that permits casting of a vote from a remote area, an area not specifically authorized by the convention, violates this stated fundamental principle of parliamentary law. A stated fundamental principle of parliamentary law is a very important classification in RONR. The violation of it creates a breach of a continuing nature that is always subject to a point of order. The action taken in violation of it becomes null and void. If someone were elected using this method, their election could be challenged at any point while the person remained in office. If some bylaw or platform plank were adopted using this method, its adoption could be legitimately challenged as long as it is in effect even decades later. The challenge would consist of raising a point of order and, if necessary, appealing the decision of the chair. Even if the point found not well taken, it could be raised continuously at future meetings until reversed. In other words, using the method described in the email, even for one vote, has the potential to create a decades-long problem for the Libertarian Party. The parliamentarian obviously recommends against using this method because of a very real problem of a continuing breach. RONR requires tellers to make sure that only legitimate voters cast votes and that no one tried to cast more votes than he is entitled to cast. Under Rule 3, the state chair or member selected by the state delegation effectively serves as the teller. Rule 3.3 requires that in some cases ballots be signed. The email proposed: after a vote is electronically cast, the system can provide a short 6-character code which the voter could then write on a slip of paper and turn in like a ballot. The state chairs and tellers would then validate only the votes associated with the codes provided on the slips of paper. JJ continues, a receipt is not a ballot. The method suggested in the email violates Rule 3.3. The Parliamentarian will note, however, that the rule could be suspended by a 2/3 vote. The rule could also be repealed or amended by a 2/3 vote with notice or by a vote of a majority of the registered delegates. While not discussed in the email, there is the very important question of write-in votes in elections. RONR creates a right for members to cast write-in votes in ballot election unless the bylaws remove that right. He cites RONR, states that any action taken in violation of a rule protecting a basic right of an individual member is null and void. Any balloting method that did not permit write-in votes is sufficient to void an election using that method. This should be a consideration with any voting method used. Opinion. The use of the voting system described by Mr. Fiera's email violates a fundamental principle of parliamentary law by permitting absentee voting. The use of the system would cause any vote taken under it to be null and void. The use of this system violates Rule 3.3 regarding signed ballots. Number 3, any electronic voting system to be used by the Libertarian National Convention for elections must include the ability to handle write-in votes. And then there are endnotes. All right. Let's go back and let's put me back up. So as you can see, there's a lot of problems. Like there's problems upon problems. So we'll see if the COC does their little secret vote tonight. But that raises the bigger problem. Why are all the Convention Oversight Committee meetings secret? Inquiring minds want to know. No reason to be. No reason to be. Some things, yes. Then you go into executive session. But all of their votes should be public to the people they're accountable to, who's not the LNC. It's the convention. They're a committee of the convention, not of the LNC. And the fact is that Whitney is whispering in the ears of the COC members, pushing porcupine. While there is no explicit rule against this, in my opinion, it is highly unethical for the party chair, who has a direct interest in how these elections turn out, to be whispering in the ears of the COC to push a certain electronic voting system designed by a fellow LNC member when this is not a committee of the LNC. It's a committee of the convention. Let's get into a deeper problem. And yeah, Jonathan, the committee is not in any Zoom calls where people can witness it. Oh, Libertarian against lynching. We're going to get into that tomorrow. Because there's a huge issue with the Libertarian Legislative Campaign Committee. There's all kinds of stinking coming from there. Anyway. So there's that problem. But there's also the problem that I believe that the Convention Oversight Committee has no authority to suggest a system, and let's say they finally agree it does violate our bylaws and rules, and also suggest rule changes. That is the job of the Bylaws Committee. Can you imagine if the Bylaws Committee, when you have a committee to which a certain task has been delegated, another committee cannot take that task. This is so outside of their lane and inappropriate. If they have suggested bylaws changes, they need to send that shit to the bylaws committee. Or, hey, not that we would do this, should the platform committee start now considering things that the convention oversight committee is doing? I mean, if we're just, letting any committee do things that aren't assigned to it, it's ridiculous. So they are outside the bounds. Now, of course, if they're insisting it doesn't violate the bylaws and rules, then it's not quite so outside the bounds. But as you've seen, a professional parliamentarian has told them it is. And people on the LNC have said this would require a change to the rules. So why is the Convention Oversight Committee going into the lane of the Bylaws Committee? Changes of the rules should only come from two places of the bylaws/rules. The Bylaws Committee, who, by the way, has a chair who started another political party. We are a clown car right now. Am I crazy for thinking that someone who started a competing political party should not be chairing our bylaws committee? The bylaws, which are the contract between the members and the party, that very arguably is the most important document in the party. Call me crazy, but I don't think operatives from other parties should have anything to do with our bylaws. I know, crazy thought. So either the bylaws/rules, suggestions for changes to them can come from two places: the bylaws committee or the delegates on the floor. That's it. The Convention Oversight Committee should not be using its position of privilege, in secret no less, to try to salt the soup and kind of cut in line. Because in order for the delegates, because one thing I don't like about the structure of this party is how committee top-down we are. In theory, our agenda includes proposals from the floor. We never, in my time in this party, and from what I've heard from people who've been here longer than me, we run out of time way before that comes up. So in order for a proposal from the floor to be heard by a delegate, they have to suspend the rules to take up a proposal. That gives tremendous power to the committees. So realistically, things only come through the Bylaws Committee or the Platform Committee. What the Convention Oversight Committee is doing is cutting in line. Because at the very beginning, they're going to use their position of fucking privilege to suggest changes to the rules, rather than being on equal footing with the delegates to suggest things that you would have to go and battle for. There is so much wrong here. And I have to tell you, I'm not going to name names on this part. Before I did this show, I've had, not with every single of the good LNC members, but I've had this discussion with some of the good LNC members, begging them to bring this up on the LNC list before the COC vote on Wednesday, because after the vote, people will be entrenched. And I'm very disappointed to say that they haven't brought it up. Now, I'm not going to say who it was I talked to, so don't even try to guess. It wasn't all of them. But I didn't want to do this show. I wanted this to be solved by the LNC before this happened. That's why I waited to do this, rather than doing the show the minute I found out. But no, nobody has said crap. Instead, they're trying to mortgage the building. So, because I'm getting ready for date night,
Objection, speculative.
It is. We're going to wrap this up. I'm going to see if there's any other questions in comments. And I do have my note here that I do want to say something briefly about the Massachusetts appeal. So yeah, I'm giving time for questions. Also, because I am a shameless, super chat whore, I am also, giving time for that. Work that poll, girl. Work that poll. The Massachusetts appeal. See, Richard Longstreth just can't keep his mouth shut. And I'm glad. I'm glad he can't keep his mouth shut. Because in the Massachusetts appeal, which I helped author, there was a mistake. No, I'm not going to do the passive. I made a mistake in it. I'm not going to do the passive because I take full accountability for the mistake. The LNC was not named as an interested party explicitly in the header. It is fucking obvious they were an interested party. They know they're an interested party. But, okay, technicality point noted. I should have noted them in the very top as an interested party, and I failed to do so. My bad. When I make a mistake, I own it. But come on. Come on. It's fucking obvious that they were an interested party. So Richard Longstreth is off shooting his mouth off on social media on how the LNC, now how he can speak for them all, and maybe he was just intending to speak for himself and I'm reading into what he said. But of course, he's multiple times said on the list that the LNC has no obligation to obey this rogue JC. But, he thinks the membership should obey this rogue LNC. Got it, Richard. So Richard shot his mouth off and said, since the LNC wasn't named as an interested party, no ruling of the JC on this initial petition for appeal will be binding on them. And that is the position he's going to take. Well, loose lips sink ships. I'm glad that you revealed your bad faith strategy on the technicality. I hope you are proud of yourself, Richard, for shitting all over. We're now over 200 people that have signed that, and you just pulled down your drawers, spread your cheeks, and shat all over those members over a technicality and the people in Massachusetts. Even the group I don't like. Both of them deserve a hearing. But no, you don't care about that, do you? So I am grateful in a way, though, that you showed your hand in time for us to fix it. Because after May 1st, it would have been past the 30-day window of when the appeal would have been timely. And arguably, we wouldn't have been able to amend it. So, you're bragging on social media. I'm somewhat grateful for that you couldn't keep your mouth shut. So today, an amendment to the petition was filed. And I'd like to show that to you guys. And then tell you something, if you're a signer, that you can be expecting in your email box soon. Probably tomorrow. Just give me 1 second. And I got a private message. I haven't been paying attention to the membership of the Convention Oversight Committee, but one of you guys in the show, and I'm not going to say your name because you didn't give me permission to, about the firebombing quote, is saying that person has resigned. And he says the quote was burning it down. It was told to me as firebombing. I don't have a screenshot of it. So my wording could be off. Burning it down, okay. If it was that, something to do with fire and destruction. Let's put it that way. And I don't know, and I'm not saying the name of the person who did it. It's because it's really just not important at this point, and I don't want to give that person more attention. If they've resigned from the Convention Oversight Committee, good. Last I heard, they hadn't, though. So if you're the person who just sent me that message, let me know, because I haven't been paying attention. And the subcommittee page on lp.org hasn't been updated, except for the platform committee, which was at my insistence, since they removed me from my position. Go figure. Because we have such a great replacement secretary. And it's confirmed that person has resigned from the Convention Oversight Committee. The fact that that person was ever appointed by the LNC to the Convention Oversight Committee is completely ridiculous. No, not burning down a house. But yeah, as I said, it was probably a joke, but, you know, that's a little bit different than, you know, talking about killing a spider. All right. So that person has resigned. That is good to hear. I'm very happy to hear that. The fact is, he was still appointed by the LNC. All right. 1 second here. I want to pull up that amended petition, and then we will get going. If I was smart, I would have had a musical clip here of burning down the house. That would have been great, wouldn't it? And then I would have been copyright struck, but this is already not going to be monetized. So, right, we should play a musical clip of burning down the house. Let me pull this up if I can. All right, now the current membership of the Libertarian National Committee is listed as an interested party. And let's go to the next page of this PDF. So amendment, death is in the house. Death, no offense, but I hope it's a long time before I actually see you. Amendment to emergency petition to appeal and request to move hearing forward to allow time for LNC response or alternatively hold 2 hearings. In other words, to bifurcate it between the LNC and the illegitimate Massachusetts people. So, add the LNC as an interested party. Petitioner Andrew Cordio files this amendment. LNC member Richard Longstreth has publicly announced that the LNC intends to ignore any rulings of this body, as the LNC was not named as an interested party. It is obvious from the filing that they are, and that they are using that technicality to try to delay member rights and affiliate rights to appeal is not acting in good faith. However, in order to cure that obstacle, petitioner Andrew Cordio now amends his petition to include the LNC as an interested party. 2. Delay the April 16th, 2022 hearing to the following weekend or alternatively hold 2 hearings. This delay or the alternative is to allow the LNC time to file a response. The petitioner would object to any extensions to the LNC. That is such bad faith. Like, technically, does he have a point? Yeah, that's why I said we need to file an amendment. But is that in good faith? And I also wrote to the JC, but I haven't received a response yet, saying, can't the JC, just on its own recognizance, say the LNC is an interested party? It's obvious they are. And using, like, non-lawyers, like, that is so dirty, Richard. That is so dirty. So I hope the JC, just on its own recognizance, says, yep, the LNC is an interested party. And do this to Richard. But we're dotting our I's. Each obstacle they put before us, we will jump through. As I said in a phone call earlier here to Andrew, they done pissed me off. And I am with those guys to the bitter fucking end. as a parliamentarian, as it were. So, those of you who signed the petition, you will be getting an email that will have two things on it that will ask you to say that you also agree to add the LNC as an interested party, and to authorize any further amendments or supplements to be filed on your behalf by Andrew Cordio. My mistake was that I did not realize, and why I didn't is just me being... I have a certain naivete that probably doesn't belong in politics in one sense, but in another way maybe is refreshing in politics. No matter how dirty the LNC has been, each time they're dirty again, it surprises me. You would think I would be beyond surprise, but each time, it surprises me. It surprises me that they would act in such bad faith to the membership like this. So we'll jump through the hoop and expect an email, signatories. I am sorry that we're going to have you do that again. Andrew Cordio filed the amendment for his automatic appeal. So now we need to add that to the member appeal. But I do think the JC is likely to say on its own recognizance that obviously the LNC is an interested party. That is dirty, dirty, Richard. And you should be heckled. You should be booed for that. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. But you are bragging about this. So, Richard, I want to thank you from the sincerity of my heart for being such a twat waffle to brag about shitting on members. Thank you. Unreal. Can you believe that? That's the kind of crap the government pulls. Like when you're trying to get a permit or something. Oh, on page 10, you were supposed to put your initials in Dothraki. Sorry, you're going to have to fill out this 100-page application again and wait 100 days. Gross. Absolutely gross. And the fact that this appeal hasn't been mentioned at all on the LNC list makes me think that the majority of the LNC agrees with that strategy of Richard's. And Rich, I know you're like super busy, or Pat, I really wish one of you two guys would bring up this appeal on the LNC list and call out Richard for that bad faith action. I really wish you would. I can't speak for Massachusetts, but I bet they really wish you would too, but I'm not speaking for them. They may have their own strategy. My words are my own, unless specifically endorsed by them, because I don't, they're probably a lot nicer about this whole thing than I've been lately, because I am just appalled at the way members have been treated. And as I said, the saddest thing somebody said to me when I asked them to sign the appeal was, is this going to get me thrown out of the National Libertarian Party? The fact that that could even be a Poe's Law joke should make us all thoroughly embarrassed. And no, we have no excommunication provisions for membership in the National LP. But if you're from Massachusetts and you sign it and you haven't been expelled yet, there's no guarantees there. Talk about an intimidation tactic. And Tara DeSisto dared to ask the JC. I'm going to do a whole show on this because Mary Ruart, I love that woman. She responded basically to Tara DeSisto's rant to her with "bless your heart." But Tara DeSisto dared to ask, how many of the signers are from Massachusetts? Why? You want to expel them too? God, these people. All right. Mary is a badass, and she's not seeking re-election to the JC, which is our loss. Mary is like the OG libertarian. And like what she wrote in her dissenting opinion about me is going on some literature that I'm distributing at Reno. Where she basically said, and I'm paraphrasing, if you guys can't take criticism from a pink-haired secretary that doesn't back up her words with actual violence, you're not prepared to be on the governing board of a party that is taking on the government that backs up its words with violence, and perhaps you ought to find a way to serve the party in another capacity. And she's right. All right, y'all. Heading off to, hopefully, some, why isn't this playing?
Wow, wow.
But please do go look at my totally serious and totally sincere apology to Facebook that I posted yesterday. And I will see you all tomorrow to talk about the clown car that we are witnessing. This clown car demonstration we are witnessing with this budget discussion. My God. I'm all for transparency, but I'm embarrassed right now that the world is watching this. All right, y'all. I'll catch y'all tomorrow. Mi guapas de libertad.
Given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in a business.